What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on CFC DP. We have an excellent one for you today. We have a few different things that we're going to cover. We're going to cover Chelsea's first couple of preseason matches, their friendlies against Wrexham and Celtic, what went well, what didn't went well. We're going to talk about some of the new transfers that are going to be coming in as we've seen over the last 24 hours. And as I said on this channel not too long ago, Victor Osimhen is still a possibility for Chelsea. But first, as always, I want to thank Simon Phillips Talks Chelsea for being the sponsor for this platform. Simon has done an amazing job building out a great hub for Chelsea information and a great community where you can find the latest in all of Chelsea transfer news, video breakdowns, and analysis, podcasts, anything that you want Chelsea related, you can find there. Go ahead to the link in the description below to SiPhillipsTalksChelsea.com and you can get signed up today. So let's start off with the two friendly matches that we've seen over the last couple of days. Chelsea drew 2-2 to Wrexham and they got absolutely battered 4-1 against Celtic. I was at that Celtic match. It was not fun whatsoever. It was a real harsh reality of the steps that are still required of Chelsea in their process of getting into Enzo Maresca's system and understanding where things need to be by the time you play Manchester City on August 18th. There's a ways to go. There's opportunities to build and grow on this, but it was a lethargic performance to say the least against Celtic and Wrexham. 2 levels down. The first half was really good. Second half was a little lackluster. So there's plenty of work to be done at this point. Going into a little bit of the tactical breakdown, there was a few moments in the Wrexham game which kind of drew concern to me, and then furthermore got amplified against Celtic. And what I'm talking about is when Chelsea are inverting that right fullback, right, it is built to protect cover of that front three, that back three. It's another body in the midfield where you try and create triangles, you try and create overloads, you try to really dominate just by the people in the midfield. The one problem is that it does leave those wide channels very open. So it's the responsibility of the left-sided center back and the right-sided center back to be able to be flexible and get out there and stop those, over-the-top balls from the opposition if we lose the ball. So we got countered a lot against Celtic. Losing the ball in the midfield happens, but every time it happens, you can't be expecting a big opportunity from everyone, which that's how it was against Celtic, a huge opportunity. So we're relying on both the right wing and the left wing to come back, assist, and we also need those left side and right side and center backs to kind of fan out in order to mitigate some of that. Because I saw it against Wrexham, and if you were with me on my watch along, you notice I said multiple times that wide, especially on the right-handed side of our defense, where the fullback is vacating that space, they took advantage of it. Crosses into that area, it was very apparent that was the main focus. And then furthermore, when you go into Wrexham, into the Celtic match, rather, you did notice that there was effort to play it in those channels. If they beat you through the midfield, which they did far too many times, you had odd man situations where Levi Colwill was running out there and nobody was replacing his spot. So there was plenty of areas for Celtic to take advantage of it, and it was a huge problem. And Chelsea was also playing a very high line. You could play a high line, but you need to be on it, right? You need to be on it in terms of, we're playing an offside trap, we got to be able to hold our line. And once they beat that line, it was a very lethargic and frankly disappointing performance from the entire back of that defense. So, Wesley Fofana was jogging back on a goal, and it's very, you could hear Robert Sanchez screaming his name to run back, but he just didn't. And I think it's a little bit of a couple things. I think it's the indecisiveness and not knowing exactly where you're going to be and when, right? So not knowing what space do I need to bring fill in at this point. And then it was also, they were doing something kind of weird where the right center back was marking the almost all the way up to our attacking third. So they're pulling a defender out. You're already having a fullback inverted, so now that space is wide open. And if they do that on that side, so things need to get cleaned up. I'm not panicking yet because I know that Enzo Maresca's system is very intricate. It's it's understanding, it's regimented, yeah? So they need to be able to practice and need to be able to kind of learn through it. But when you have Man City coming up, you have a Conference League qualification match coming up, you need to be on it to a certain level. So I hope that, using the Club America match, Man City, Real Madrid, Inter Milan, that Chelsea can really focus on, we need to be on it. We need to be smart. So that is one of the critical things that I'm looking for from Chelsea in these next couple of matches, is just a little bit more consistency. I think offensively, I think it will be easier as it goes on, because I think, the counter pressing was really good. They were able to win the ball back. They had 10 shots on goal against Celtic. They were probably unlucky not to have 2 or 3 goals themselves. So the offense, really, I'm not worried about. I'm worried about the defensive structure and hoping that when the inversion happens of the right fullback or left fullback, that the back line is aware of what needs to be done if they lose the ball. Because when you're playing a possession-based system, you're going to lose the ball one time or another, and you can't have a massive problem when that happens. So that was the 2 games. We'll see what happens coming up. We have a live watch along as well for Club America on Wednesday night on this channel. You can go ahead and click the notify me button now to get registered, sort of, where you can get a notification when I go live. We had an excellent turnout. We had over 14,000 views, which is amazing. Let's hope to get around that same number again. But let's talk a little bit about a couple guys that are going to be coming in, transfers that have been either confirmed or in the process of being confirmed. So a couple of signings that Chelsea are about to have come over the line are Filip Jörgensen and Aaron Anselmino. Anselmino is one that we've been following for a while. Some final details with Boca Juniors need to be sorted. He will be going back on loan at Boca Juniors for the season. He is 18 years old, the center back, very talented, very skilled, good physical guy at this point. Still a little raw, so I think another year at Boca will really benefit him in the long run. I also really like the Jörgensen signing. I mean, if you watch that Chelsea-Celtic game, you saw a number of misplaced passes from Robert Sanchez. Yes, he had some good saves. That's always been a strong suit of his. But the distribution, which is so critical to the success of a Maresca-style build-up, you have to have that done. And Jörgensen is able to do that. Coming in for around £21.5 million. I think it's going to be a good signing. He's already on his way. He probably will feature in some of the friendlies that are coming up, and I don't think it'd be too hard for him to displace Sanchez at this point, because Sanchez just doesn't offer what Chelsea are looking for in that position at this point. The misplaced passes is just something that he's not going to get better at, and not quickly enough for when we need him to. So I think Jörgensen is the guy that will be starting. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in. There's definitely a chemistry that needs to be had with his center backs and understanding, who's got to be where, who's going to be when, and sort of understanding Maresca's system. We're excited about him. We're excited about Anselmino. Anselmino is one for the future. Jörgensen will come in and immediately help, and I think take that starting position. But there is one big fish out there for Chelsea. They still want a winger. They still want a striker. And as of this Monday morning, Napoli are interested in talking about a swap deal between Romelu Lukaku and Victor Osimhen. That is something that I think Chelsea fans have been waiting for. I know on this channel we have talked about, do not rule that out. That wasn't sourced. That was just kind of me thinking, like, if you have a guy that, Napoli want to have, right? They want to have Lukaku, but they need to sell Osimhen. If they started to have trouble with Osimhen, getting him to PSG or getting him wherever, you're going to see that price start to dwindle down. And a couple weeks ago, we saw a rumor came out that Napoli have dropped the price. If Osimhen was willing to come to Chelsea and will drop his wages to a probably, 175, 200, 250, 225, somewhere in that range, You're also gaining some fees. You're gaining a decrease from Lukaku's 325K a week. Financially, it's starting to make a little sense for Chelsea. Chelsea have been playing kind of a game of chicken. They've always been stern on their approach. We're not willing to pay the release clause. He must lower his demands. And Chelsea might be getting that wish. Now, it may also be a little bit of pandering from Napoli to say, hey, if you want this guy, you got to get the deal done now. But PSG is having a hard time moving on from either Goncalo Ramos or Randall Koulibaly. So Chelsea are kind of in a power position now with Napoli. Now, people are going to say, well, Nicholas Jackson has made a lot of strides. He probably had a better year than Osimhen last year. Is he really that important? Because Guiu has looked really, really good in preseason. That's the question that needs to be answered. I do wonder if Chelsea are sort of thinking like on the left wing, right? We have Mykhailo Mudryk, we have Raheem Sterling, not two guys that we're so high on anymore at this point. Is there a way where we can have Nicholas Jackson move to the left? You have Victor Osimhen on top. You have Nkunku playing that 8-10 top of the box midfield position. Now you have three guys that are goal scorers in that area. And Chelsea, one of their biggest problems over the past couple of years has just been making big chances. And you have a finisher in Osimhen. You have a finisher in Nkunku. You have a budding finisher in Nicholas Jackson. So bringing Osimhen in would make a lot of sense, in my opinion, because there is a way where you can shoehorn all three of those guys in. You also have to remember that we have Conference League, we have Club World Cup, we have the cup, the domestic cup competitions. There's a lot of game time to be had. If this means Mark Guiu needs to go on a loan or something like that, then maybe so be it. Even though I've really been impressed with Guiu, getting Victor Osimhen in is a statement signing. It is something that Chelsea fans have been looking for. It sort of would be a nod to the fans from the sporting directors, like, okay, we got a horse for you. We got a guy that can really finish and score in the big moments, and aerially is so good. But I think it'll be up to Enzo Maresca. If Enzo Maresca says, yes, Osimhen is somebody that we can use, and also use Jackson, I think it makes a heck of a lot of sense to bring Victor Osimhen in. But time will tell. There's also a winger discussion, but could they kill two birds, one stone by moving Jackson over to the wing and having Victor Osimhen play a center striker role? So we covered a lot in this video. I just want to remind you again, on Wednesday, we have a full match live watch along with Chelsea against Club America. It'll be going live at 6:15 p.m. Central Time, 12:15 a.m. in the UK. That would be on Thursday then in the UK. We had an excellent turnout. We hope to do it just as much again for this match. There's lots to talk about, and we had a great time and dialogue with the chat and everything like that. And as always, thank you to Simon Phillips Talks Chelsea. Please go ahead, hit that link in the description. You can get all that amazing content right now. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at CFCDP1. Like and subscribe to this channel. It means so much to get that support and feedback from you guys. And I just really am loving the community that we're building here. So I want to thank you all for watching. We have that watch along. Please go ahead and notify me, and we will see you then.